Welcome to Life Coaches Unfiltered, where Desiree, Doree, and Michelle, three life coaches, are here to answer the questions you have, but we're afraid to ask. No fluff, no filters, just real talk to help you navigate life's big challenges. Let's dive in.
Hey y'all, today on Life Coaches, today on Life Coaches Unfiltered, we are tackling the topic of supporting young adults as they launch into their adulthood. So for parents listening, you've dedicated decades of your life to raising your kids. And
Decades.
yes, now they're suddenly adults. So what happens and how do you support these newly minted adults as they find their way in the world? What are some typical decisions and some stumbling blocks that they face, and how is it best to support them without being a helicopter parent? I mean, do y'all have your helicopter's pilot's license? No. Today, Michelle's going to be stepping into the spotlight and sharing her expertise with everybody. This is her wheelhouse, y'all, and this is her passion. She'll offer insight and she'll give you a peek about how her coaching can benefit young adults looking to make their mark on this world. So let's dive right in,
So can I
Michelle.
say something? So they're not called helicopter parents anymore. They're called drone parents, which I
Oh,
think is even funnier.
really?
Helicopters is so last year, now they're drones
Look at me dating myself.
because there's cameras everywhere.
Drone parents. Oh my gosh. I had no idea. Well, thank you. Thank you for updating.
Yes.
Apparently the use of the word or the term side quest is a signal that you have young people in your life. I I didn't know this until last week when my sister was visiting and somebody used side
Side
quest and she was like,
quest.
"Oh, you must have teens." And I was like,
I've never
"You're
heard of that. Side quest. Interesting.
yeah, it's like all the rage now. I don't know. I try to be the cool aunt, but I fail at that on the regular. So that's all I
Oh,
know.
that's so funny. Wow.
Drone drone parents and side quest.
Okay.
Doree, do you have anything how can you make us cooler today? Okay. So Doree's got nothing. All right. So, Michelle, let's talk about
Yes.
what let's talk about what do you mean by when you say helping adults launch into adulthood? Like does it mean like because I think of like, all right, up until the point you graduate high school, your life is pretty structured for most kids, right? You go like
Hmm.
this expectation that you go to school, and then there's a big expectation that you go to college. Some kids go to trade school, and then you finish that. Is that the period where it's like we're done with our education, even maybe grad school, and then it's like, what the hell do I do now? Like, I've got to figure out how to adult.
I mean, it could be. I mean, I've had some kids who have taken a gap year, and I'll kind of touch on that a little bit, but it can be 18 because again, not everyone's made to go to college. And some people will dabble in college and then they'll possibly drop out and parents are spending that money and they're like upset, but it's just kind of like, all right, do you really think that your kid was ready for college or is it for them? Because again, not everyone wants to go to college. I didn't think I was going to go to college. I thought when I graduated, I was going to get a job. Now, did I know what kind of job I was going to get? No. But I was going to get a job. And then until my counselor said, well, you love physical education. Why don't you just become a teacher? Okay, then. And luckily, touch wood, it worked out. It was a passion of mine. But, you know, um, so it can be 18 and it can be the people who have kind of graduated from college and come out of college and it's just like, I can't get a job. And again, that can be another discussion as well. And then it can be the people who have graduated with a master's and be like, okay, what do I do now? Like I've got the degree and I've got the master's and I can't get a job because things have changed. Things have changed, and I'm not blaming the parents because I mean, let me take that back. There is something that the parents can do. However, they don't have the playbook. The playbook has changed. And so there. I'm assuming they're doing the best that they can with what they've got, but they may have other children. They've got to go to work. They're dealing with their shit at work and everything and trying to, maybe sustain a marriage, depending, because, once the empty nesters, and this could be maybe another topic that we talk about when kids leave home and, what happens to the parents, because that's where people sometimes get divorced. Because they've been looking after the kids and they've been focusing on the kids, and then the parents have kind of like grown apart. And then there's the divorce, so they're probably trying to deal with that. And then, that can be emotional, and that can probably go into your grief section when we talk about grief. Um, so there's lots of, I feel like us as parents, we've gotten busier. And again, if they have other kids, then they're looking after them and they're taking them to sports or whatever, or this, dance, la la la, and we are kind of like on this little hamster wheel. So then, parents may not have the time to sit down and make sure that, their eldest has got everything that they need before they go to college, or, try and help them step by step whilst they're in college, helping them with some of their finances, because it's just easy to just send money, right? Let me just send the money. I'll
Yeah.
just keep on sending the money. I'll just keep on sending the money. And then when they come home, we'll keep on giving them money. But again, it's doing a little bit of a disservice, because then the young adult doesn't know how to
Manage that.
adult.
Yeah. So
So,
you said
yeah,
it, you made a statement, and I'm wondering, you said the playbook has changed. What do you mean by that?
I mean, let's go back when we were 18, 19 and everything. I mean, I'm curious, what was your trajectory of your life? And Dory, I would love to hear from you. What was your trajectory? Because I feel that has changed. We didn't have devices. So, you know, I was again not sure what I wanted to do, but then I decided I was going to take a gap year because I just wanted a break. And I was still motivated to leave the house at 18. I was just like, all right, I am gonna go and work in the States for a year as an au pair just so I can leave the UK and go and experience and have a good time, because I'm ready to move out of the home. Like, I don't want to live under my parents' rule anymore. I want to come and go as I please. I want to cook my own dinner, really. Maybe take out. But that was then. And finances, when I came back and I went to college and everything, I was able to go and buy a house, or I bought my own flat or condo for the American terminology. That can't happen now for a 23-year-old, unless, their parents are giving them money.
Mhm.
But, you know, my parents gave me money, but I then got a job as a teacher and I was able to afford a mortgage. Some of these kids are coming out of grad school or even just a degree, just getting a bachelor's, and they're not able to get a job, a good paying job. And obviously, the economy is more expensive. And so food is expensive, things are expensive, cars are expensive, houses, getting a mortgage, the interest rate is what, 6%? I mean, you could be mortgage poor pretty much. And, the entry level jobs are, possibly getting taken over by AI. So, what's left, and there was the expectation that you would, if you graduated, you would get a high paying job. That's not happening right now.
Yeah.
So from where we were to what's happening now has been a massive, massive shift. Massive shift. And again, devices, it's very instant gratification. We didn't have that instant gratification. I remember going to college and that was when the cell phones came out. So I'm dating myself, but
So
we didn't have that instant gratification. We had to work and we had to go out and get a job and everything like that. And, everything wasn't at our fingertips.
yeah.
So, we had to graft. And in this day and age, kids really don't have to graft. They can order a bloody taxi from their phone. We would have to call up on our rotary phone, remember?
I remember getting my college acceptance letters in the mailbox, and now they get
right?
emails. Yeah.
Emails,
Hmm. So
you know. So the access is just extended, but again, salaries have not increased. Economy is more expensive, so things are unobtainable right now as
yeah.
to back and when we were. So yeah.
Doree, what was your experience like at post high school?
Not good.
Did you bounce around a little bit before getting
Well,
settled?
you know what? I'm gonna go kind of the opposite direction a little bit. I was one of those that I didn't have a lot of exposure to things about what opportunities there were. And so growing up where I grew up, you only had the vision of what you knew,
Mm,
of the people that were around you. I grew up in a town that was mostly manufacturing. So it wasn't a lot, I didn't have a lot of exposure of things. I wanted to be a fashion designer, and I don't feel like I was set up for success on
mm,
going into that field. There was no one there who could tell me what I needed to do in order to do that. And
right.
so, when I ended up graduating with a degree in psychology, which fast forward now, fantastic, right? So what I do, it goes so in alignment with what I do. But I graduated not knowing what the hell I was supposed to do with my degree.
Hmm.
And and was told traditional paths say that you either are a therapist or you go into HR. And I didn't know how to get into either one of those fields. So for myself, the playbook was pretty much you just found a job. And so that's how I ended up in corporate America and in software for 25 plus years, was because I had to get a job.
Mm.
And by the grace of God, I ended up getting a job with the biggest mentor of my lifetime, who supported me in so many ways. I was very, very fortunate in that way. So it was different. It was definitely different. We didn't have, I remember the book in high school that the college that what do you want to do? And you flip through this book and it would say, these are the skill sets that you need or whatever. It was just very different. It was very different. But we were a
Yes.
different time too. There were no drone slash helicopter parents.
Hmm.
We grew up in a generation of where, you got off the school bus, you took your little brother by the hand at 10 years old and got off the school bus and went home and made cornbread in a hot skillet with grease.
Well, that
So
sounds delicious.
so good. I'll make you some sometime. I
Yes,
still make a mean cornbread.
that sounds
Um,
good.
so, but was the different way that we grew up, I think. And so it is different now for sure.
Mm,
So what
totally.
worked for us doesn't work for this generation today. And so
Hmm.
many parents, I think, Michelle, maybe you see this, or do you find this, that so many parents try to work the way that we worked it with their kids today, working it that way, and it just doesn't work.
Does not work. Does not work. What was your experience, Desi?
Um, I too was a psychology major when I started in college. And then I was like, what the hell am I going to do with this? And then I switched to elementary ed for one semester and I had to go observe a
Wow.
it's yeah, I could but my sister chose my major, which was it was a new emerging major, which is management information systems, which is a combination of computer science but business. So it was in the College of Business. Very lucrative degree. So by the time I graduated, I started interviewing for jobs, I would say a year before I graduated. I had 5 or 6 job offers, and I could have moved to Dallas, Cleveland, Ohio, Memphis, Tennessee. And I chose a job offer so I could stay in my home state of Louisiana. But I was going to work for a very big company and the market shifted between when I got my job offer. So that's how
Mm.
I ended up and when I started working. But I had a complicator that my dad died right before my last semester of school. And so the all I had already accepted a job. I had one semester left. I think I only had like 12 hours left of schooling. So I finished out my degree, but my motivation to get out and get a job and start making money and become an adult was so prevalent because my dad was such a financial security for our family and that was
Mm.
gone. And I was like, I have got to grow up now. Um, and so that was, but I also was the youngest child. Like I had watched my sister get an undergrad degree, go to law school and become a lawyer. And so I had somebody to kind of guide me in that way. Um, my mom didn't have any advanced education outside of high school, but she supported me in my decision. My brother went to trade school. So I'd watched my siblings go on different paths. But my degree just happened to be super lucrative and at a point in time where I got out making really good money. And I bought a house a year later and it's the house that I still live in. Um, and I remember sitting at the closing table and the attorney was like, I can't believe a 22-year-old is buying this house. And
Mm.
I mean, I know now I couldn't afford to buy my neighborhood. I hear you, Michelle. Like I don't it's hard for kids coming out. Like I see what the market is paying now and
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like
crazy.
between that and the house prices, like I hear you on that.
It's crazy. It's I mean, even if we all sold our houses, where are we moving to? Moving nowhere. We're going nowhere
I
because it's
would have to
expensive for us
Yeah,
too.
I would have to significantly downsize. I mean, I wouldn't have to, I would choose to.
Right,
Um, but yeah, I couldn't afford to buy in my neighborhood.
right, right. But it is, it's definitely different, and I do hear parents kind of like, yeah, they should be applying for lots of jobs. Well, we need to be more targeted at the jobs that they're applying for because, again, there's more competition now. There are many companies who are laying off people, so you're getting those people who have been in the trade for however many years with all those experience. And entry level jobs are requiring experience. Since when does entry level jobs require experience? That's why it's called entry level. We're going to give you the experience. But now it's like, yeah, you need 2 to 5 years. That's not an entry level job, but that's what we're dealing with right now. It's craziness.
So I have a question about do does this process I know one of your programs helps kids who are going to college identify their course of study.
Hmm.
So at what point is a good time to interject into this process? Is it when your kids are coming out of high school? Do you wait until they graduate from whatever program they're going to? Like, let's talk about what's a good time to kind of get involved.
I mean, I mean, me personally, I would start having your conversations with your kid when they enter high school, just to kind of see what they're interested in, go and explore a course that you're interested in, just to see whether you like it or not. Because from that exploratory time, and yes, I know GPA starts in, high school and everything, but that's the time I'm going to say 9th and 10th grade is kind of like a good time to kind of explore different classes and see what kind of interests them. Because 11th and 12th grade, that's going to be like crunch time because those 2 years are preparing you if you decide to go to college. Because we're always saying, yeah, you got to go to college. You don't have to go to college, but you want to try and explore in 9th and 10th grade some courses that you may be interested in. And I would also say, maybe because I'm biased and I like the program that I've got, maybe to do my Harrison assessment to kind of see maybe in 10th at the end of 10th grade going into 11th, what the child really has an interest in and kind of like how they like to work and their work environment, because that could also give a good picture of what they choose in 11th and 12th grade. And then depending on the school, you never know, they might be able to do dual enrollment courses. So then again, they're getting a taste of college and they can go and take those college classes and get those college credits. So that could also help them with the whole college process if they decide, oh yeah, you know what, I like this, I want to go and study this, or you know what, college is not for me, and I may want to go and do a trade. It's fair enough. It's fair. And I don't know why. I don't know why people think that trades are not good jobs because they earn a shit ton of money. That and they can charge a shit ton of money too, you know,
Well,
HVAC people, electricians, plumbers. I'm
there
like, seriously,
My
let's have
stepdaughter is a welder.
exactly,
So freaking
exactly.
proud of her. By the way, I mean, a shout out to her. I mean, she went against the traditional path and said to us, I don't want to go to college. I'll waste your money. And went to welding school, was in welding school 6 months, and now has a job with like a major, major company and
Earning
is
bank, I'm
killing it
sure.
and I mean, just killing it. They do very well. So there is no shame in that game if but I feel like parents and we were guilty too of trying to force her to go in down the traditional route because it's all we knew.
Yeah.
Again, using our old playbook of what we had of just,
Mhm.
you're going to do what we know instead of allowing them to work with someone like you who says, let's explore all options and know that there is a huge future out there for people that are electricians, welders, and all of those
Yeah.
different things. It's big right
It
now.
is. It's huge. And it's just funny because I had a client the other day that I was working with, and he was shocked that his test came back with financial and then using his hand, and some of the jobs that came up, it was electrician. And his comment to me was just like, that's not how I was brought up. Kind of like, that's kind of beneath me. And I'm kind of like, okay, that's fine, but just know electricians make a lot of money. And you can charge a lot of money because you are guaranteed to get work. Guaranteed. There is no place, well, unless you're out in the boonies and you don't want electricity, you are guaranteed work 24/7, 365 days of the year, right? And you can charge as much as you want on Christmas Day or New Year's Eve or whatever. So, but it was just kind of like, oh no, trades that doesn't run in my family. Whereas I have another client who he's going back to welding school because he loves to work with his hands. And even his test said he has to work with his hands. Has to,
So tell
because
us
that's
about
him.
this Highlands. I mean, I wish this was out. First of all, I just want to say I think that I'm hopeful that the viewpoint on the trades or the perspective of like the kind of like like the societal BS that's going around about people in
Hmm.
trades is hopefully lessening. My brother's a
I hope.
machinist. He does manual machine work. He refused to learn CNC. Those guys are dying off. So
Mm,
as he is being he's becoming more valuable because he can do the stuff that CNCs, like if you need a manual machinist to make real old-timey parts for old-timey cars, my brother can do it. He can make
nice.
anything. And my sister and I have mad respect for him. We couldn't do what he does, but we have these fancy degrees and, have
And some
offered
people aren't
us,
even using their fancy degrees either. They've gone
or
to
they're in
college.
debt up to their eyeballs because they
There we
were
go.
told that they had to do all of this schooling.
Yes.
And it really drives me nuts. But okay, I really want to hear about this Highlands.
Well,
You
it's called the
mentioned it a couple
Harrison
of times. Oh,
assessment.
I'm
Harrison
sorry,
assessment. That's all right. It's all right.
Harrison.
We can call it the Highlands if you want.
No, I think the Highlands is another assessment that I'm getting confused with. The Harrison
Okay.
assessment. Talk to us about the Harrison assessment.
All right. I'll give you a brief overview. So it's also used for oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? Perimenopause brain here. It can also be used in companies in HR to kind of work out if people are in the right jobs
Yes,
and stuff like that. So
I I
that's
had to
pretty
take
cool.
one of those.
There we go. So it can help with talent acquisition type deal. But it work so it has let me just make sure I'm saying this correctly. I think it has 176 attributes that it works with. Don't ask me to go into all those attributes because I don't know, because it was very complicated. But from those attributes, it will definitely kind of, the test takes like 25 minutes. And there is a series of questions, and let me just rack my brain, because I took it because I wanted to see what it would come up for me. If there was anything else that would kind of show up. Oh, and what would show up? Oh, teacher. How funny is that? How peculiar. And so it would ask you, certain questions about how you like to work and what kind of work environment. And then you would rank certain things in order, what would be, the best thing that you would want to do, and then what would be the worst thing that you'd want to do, kind of like, clerical work or something along those lines. So it'd get you to ask these questions. And so it would form it. So from your answers and everything, it kind of formulates everything. And then it goes from, depending on how accurate the test is, I'm going to say it can go from the 90% percentile to zero. And so you can then look at all the jobs that it kind of suggests. Now, some of them you kind of like, what? That I would be, you just kind of like, no. But then it's working on those attributes that, would match your personality as well. But there are patterns that come out, that there'll be certain industries that you'll be able to see from those patterns. And then what I kind of do with my clients is I kind of look at the jobs, and then I kind of look at some of the adjacent jobs that could match those jobs, just to kind of have those conversations. And it's just so funny because I had one girl who did the test, and it came up with hospitality. It was kind of really weird because there was lots of criminology stuff. Like it had prison officer and, a judge and all those types of things. And then all of a sudden event management. And I said, do you like organizing like trips and stuff? And she goes, oh yes, I'm the person who organizes, and I have to know everything of where I'm going and everything like that. I said, oh, okay, that's where the event hospitality comes in. You are like the planner, and you organize things and so forth. And then she said, she loved doing like sociology and stuff like that. So I said, okay, so you kind of like learning about people. So again, I suggested maybe psychology, and she goes, "Yeah, I've been interested in psychology and and learning about people." And I said, "Okay, and I think HR came up." And I said, "Well, you could use HR for that." And so it was just having these organic conversations with these kids, just for them to understand. And then, she talked about her parents wanted her to be a lawyer. And she goes, I don't know if I got the time. I said, well, you could go paralegal. That's another avenue. She goes, oh, I didn't even think about that. And then she started talking about sports and law. And I said, well, you could be a sports lawyer if you wanted to, and everything like that. But then let's look at something that might be adjacent. So again, it just kind of gives an idea of, what you could do. And then again, we can look, because we've got Google and not our Britannica encyclopedias. we can look and see what else is available to that person. So I think it's a really good test. And I know there are other tests out there, that people can use. But because this is 25 minutes, I've heard that there are other tests that take like 2.5 hours and stuff like that. To me, I can't our attention spans have like decreased now. So me sitting there for 2.5 hours doing a test, not happening. 25 minutes, perfect. And it gives me an idea.
The test I
So,
had to take when I was being like, before I got offered a job, was it was 600 questions. One of the it was a
oh,
battery of tests. It was like 4 hours, and it was like one of the tests was 600 questions, and I was like, is there a hidden camera? This was in
oh
the
my
early
gosh,
2000s,
that's a
just to
lot.
see how much BS I'm going to put up with in order to get this job. Like because it would ask you this very similar questions with very
Hmm.
slightly different words. And I think it was
Mm,
trying, I don't know what it was doing, but it was very
yes.
annoying. And I'm like, everybody that got the job at this company had to go through this test. And I was like, what was with the 600 word test?
But I
The
guess
600 question test.
they wanted to make sure that you were going to fit that role.
I mean, yeah, yes. And, they did put a lot of effort into making sure you were in a role that you would be successful in. And I appreciated that. But yeah, man, it was an interesting one.
It really is. And I love it because some of the kids are just kind of like, I didn't even think that I would, have this would come up. Oh, let me look at this. And then they're intrigued about what was one that I think one of the kids, I think it came up with the utilities manager, and he looked it up and he goes, oh, this sounds interesting. And so then he went down a little rabbit hole to kind of find out, oh, this could be something that I could be interested in. So, I think it's just
they can see a path to get there, which is huge.
Yes. Yes.
So Doree, how did I'm curious how your stepdaughter decided on welding. So I didn't mean to get us off track, Michelle.
No, that's fine.
Do you know her thought process for how she ended up with the welding decision? Other than college is not for me?
You're muted, Doree.
Having a technology day.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
So
it's all good.
I heard something about my stepdaughter and then it cut out again. I apologize.
I was curious on how she landed on the welding decision. Other than not knowing that college was not right for her.
Well, it's interesting because my dad is a welder. And even though he's not her biological grandfather, when we were talking through things, she always liked to do things with her hands, and she was big into horses and farming and that type of environment. My dad had mentioned once, well, maybe welding could be something that she could pursue. So it just became that, and then the school. And for a kid who's ADD, having to go through 4 years of school was something that just was not appealing for her. And it was a short route, and it ended up being something she excelled at. So it was one of those things where she'd heard about it, and then knew someone like my dad who encouraged it. And then once we started exploring the schools, her and I toured different schools. When they saw that she was 5 feet tall, a female, they got super excited about it too, and were very. The school was very positive about her becoming, joining them, and they were really, really very encouraging. So for her, it just everything matched up and lined up with her personality.
I love it. That's great. And another thing, sorry, I forgot to mention about this test. It will tell you with all of the jobs that it suggests what won't work. So, obviously your zeros, it will tell you kind of some of the reasons why this is not the job for you. And then, depending on like maybe in the 60, 70% percentile, it will tell you what you may need to also work on just to make sure that you still enjoy the job, which I think is fascinating, that it can make all that happen. Because again, there are some people that you go into a job and you're just kind of like, all right, there's something that's not right about this job, and then there may be a skill that they're missing, and then they can work on that skill, and then obviously that's going to help them enjoy the job even better, And I'm sure there's probably still people out there trying to find their forever job or their forever role in life. So that's another thing that I love about this test.
I
love that. I think one of the things is being a hiring manager in the software field, we always looked for was also just the attitude toward being able to do something like that. Attitude to me was everything. Like we can teach you how to do this QA of software. We can teach you the skills to do that. if you have the right attitude to be able to want to do it
Hmm.
and be positive about it, then that was half, over half the, half of it. So I think that that's the thing too, like what you're doing when you're working with these kids, Michelle, is that you're looking for probably the attitude about it and the passion for it and that sort of thing as well. So that's really cool to do that.
And you can
Now
hear it
I
in their
want to take the
voices.
test.
Right? And you can hear it in their voices, kind of like, oh yeah, that sounds really cool. And then, they get excited. So, it's just kind of like, oh, there's something here. And even with my emerging adults who have come out of college and now they're just kind of like, or they tried college and they're like, it's not for me. It's great for them to do the test because, again, it showed to one of my clients, college is not for him. He needs to be in a trade. And he gets excited when we talk about him going back to welding school. He gets excited. So I'm kind of like, oh, okay, we don't need to do. And he tried twice. He tried twice. He was just like, oh, maybe I should be an engineer. Nope, you need to go back to welding school or become an electrician because he's interested in the electrician part. And I'm just kind of like, be a welder and an electrician? Oh my God.
Like your superhero cape will be arriving in the mail.
Seriously.
And to do something that you're passionate about so young, I mean, that is having your forever job doesn't have to suck.
Mm-mm.
And I think that that's one of the things too is that, you're helping kids to find what their passion is young so that they can start their career doing what they love. And you
Yeah,
can make money doing what you love. And so I love that you do that, Michelle. It's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So do I.
So we talked a little bit about like the pre-planning and the people who like getting into school, and it may be the ones that have tried and they're like, it's not working and let's figure out why. Let's talk about like how you help the folks that are coming, they have finished their education, like getting like launching from whatever their situation is, wrapping up school into their career or into adulting. Can you tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about that work and that piece?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just going to be candid because that's why we're on Life Coaches Unfiltered, right? These universities and colleges are not helping these kids with interviewing skills or helping them with resumes and everything like that. So when they come out and then I'm like, send me your resume, and I look at the resume and I'm just like, who wrote this? Like, this is just terrible. And again, resumes have changed too. Writing a resume, has completely changed because, I from my teaching background, I just needed to send in, a regular teaching resume. And then when I came out of teaching and I was sending in the teaching resume, I wasn't getting any jobs. And I'm just like, why? I'm a teacher. I'm very hireable. And someone had to say to me, Michelle, they don't understand teacher language. You're going to have to convert it. So then I had to convert it. And so then now it's kind of because it's going through AI and an application tracking system, which wasn't back in the day. Now it's like you got to put all these keywords in and everything like that. And then you got to highlight, how, the skills that you have and, your aptitude, how you were able to kind of change things. And, you got to put percentages and stuff like that. That never used to happen. That never used to happen. And then you got to put your LinkedIn profile because trust me, people are looking on LinkedIn now when they're hiring people. And then when I tell these youngsters, I'm just like, do you have a LinkedIn profile? And they're like, no. Okay, we've got to work on that. We've got to highlight you. We've got to showcase you on LinkedIn to show these people that you are a that you are a person and that, what you look like and what you've done and everything like that. So there's more there's more work, there's more legwork now for applying for a job. And then we have to cater resumes to the jobs. And so, you can't just send in this blanket resume and think it's gonna do it. It's not. You have to adjust it to the job description and all this. So yeah, it's a lot of legwork and they don't realize that. And then going into an interview. And it's funny because I've got one client that I'm working on interviews right now. Like, We look at using the STAR method and having some stories and stuff like that. And so we have to kind of dig into their experience, and they're not used to that. And even when I ask them just off the cuff, tell me about yourself. Well, I was born in Georgia, and I'm 22, and I like playing video games. No, we can't say that in a job interview. They want to know some of your experiences. But again, colleges and universities are not helping them with that. There may be some universities, but all the kids that I speak to, they're like, yeah, no, the career services that we had weren't helping. And so they don't have that information. And then again, we've got the parents. Back in my day, this is how what the interviews were like. It's not happening these days. And let me just tell you, some interviews are requiring you possibly to do presentations and giving you projects to do, which is very sly and technically, I think, should be illegal, but that's my opinion because you're basically getting someone to do your work for free, and stealing their ideas, which is not cool. Um, and there could be 3 or 4 rounds. I never used to have 3 or 4 rounds going to apply for a teaching job. It was 2 rounds. That was it. Like I'd probably see, the head of the oh my God, principal, and then I'd see the head of department, and then I'd have the job. Not 4 or 5, 6, 7 rounds. That's just, I mean, to me, I think that's a waste of time. But again, I'm not in HR. Well, I was in HR, but I'm not anymore. But the job is changed. It really has changed. They're requiring people to do different things. And again, you have these interviews that have these videos where you have to answer these questions and you record yourself and you're not even speaking to a person until maybe the second or third round.
That's crazy. I haven't had any
Seriously.
of those, but
Oh, I've had a couple. I feel that I had one interview where I had to do a video interview, then I had a virtual interview, and then I had to record myself again because it was for like a professional development, and so they wanted to hear me leading a workshop.
mm-hmm.
So I spoke to one person, and that was it. Everything was video.
Wow.
And it was just bizarre because I'm just like, okay, so who do I email to check to see where I'm at in the interview process and to say thank you and who do I contact?
Yeah.
And then there was a job that I was put on a wait list. What? A wait list? Since when has there been a wait list for a job?
Yeah. I That's new to me. So Michelle, how do people get in touch with you if they have a
Ooh,
young
yeah.
adult that they think could use some of these things that we've talked about today? They're kind of stuck in this
Yeah.
process. Let's talk about how
So
you work with people and how they get in touch with you.
yeah, so I they can go onto my website. Hello, I was going to say hello, michelle-hibbert.com. I'm giving you my email address here. So michelle-hibbert.com, and they can schedule an appointment because I love to listen and hear what's going on because one size doesn't fit all, and I want to get the full picture. And there is a lengthy form that you have to fill out, but I want to get as much detail as I can from the family and talk. And I can talk to and I like talking to the parents first to see what the situation is. And then once we kind of go through that, I like to then talk to the young adult because I need to hear what they're going through and their experience and what they think they need. And I kind of explain what I do and whether they're invested, because if they're not invested, I'm not going to coach them. I'm very result driven. And so I want to make sure that I'm going to be successful with this person. And, the parents are going to pay me the money. So I want to make sure that they get their money's worth. And if this kid is just kind of telling me like, yeah, I don't really care, blah, 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 then it's not for me. I'm not that person. And I always ask my clients, the kid, if they know anyone English or British, just so they understand the difference in the culture wise. And I always get, oh, I know Gordon Ramsay. Well, I'm not like Gordon Ramsay. If you
How
want me
fun
to
would
be,
it be to be like Gordon Ramsay, though? I would love to be more like Gordon Ramsay. We
I mean,
talked about him this week. I mean, come on, yeah.
if you want me to be, I can, but I don't go to that extreme. But yeah, but
He's
I'm
very
not.
decisive.
He is very decisive, and he doesn't take any shit, and I don't take shit. I don't take bullshit, and I can smell it a mile away. Like, all right, okay, you're spinning me a yarn here. What's going on? But then once I hear what's going on, then again, that's when we work through things. So it's it's a process, but that's how people can get hold of me. And I am on LinkedIn, so you can look for me on Michelle Hibbert on LinkedIn. I am on Instagram, and I think it's Michelle H. Life Coach on Instagram, and then I'm on Facebook as well. Or you can just pick up the dog and bone, the phone, and just call me.
Is that what you guys called phones? The
That's
bone?
that's just a Cockney rhyming slang, the dog
Oh
and
my God.
bone phone.
We'll also have links to all Michelle's socials and website and everything in the show notes, so you can
Yeah.
also get that.
So am
Michelle,
I asking the uncomfortable question?
it's time
All right. Please hold.
while
Let
she
me find
peruses her
them. I
options.
know, right? Um, I did read through them and I tried to figure out which one I was going to ask. Uh, yeah, let me ask this one. What expectations about adulthood? So, talking about income, timeline, lifestyle. Are you imposing that come from your own era, culture, or fears rather than from the reality of the world they're launching into now? So I guess let's go back to your own adulthood with that question. So, income, timeline, lifestyle, what did you impose to come into your own era or culture, or were there fears of the reality of the world?
So, comparing our experience to their
Yeah, let's
experience
let's
now.
let's let's yeah, let's do that.
Okay, our expectations of our experience and how they might be projected on the current generation
Yeah.
and make fun of ourselves
Why
because we're
not?
going to sound
That's
like
what
old
we
people.
do, right?
Doree,
Well, I mean,
do you want to go first or do you want me to jump in the pool? Oh, of course.
I think she's pointing at you to go
Oh
first.
yeah, I'll see it. I think and I can be a little guilty of this. Like I think in my younger years, like, probably a decade ago, I was like, why is it so hard? When I was 22, I bought a house and I was kind of but I also recognizing I had a very lucrative degree at a very lucrative time for my field. There's a lot more people in that field. So I think I had expectations that you could get out of school if you had a good degree and make a good living for yourself and save for your retirement. I don't think that that's as easy now. And
Mm-mm.
and I mean there's a lot of kids that are, blessed to be able to stay with their parents for a little bit longer to get on their feet. And I don't look down upon that as much as I used to. Um as long as it doesn't become a habit. So they're holding their part of the bargain, and I'm saving to, put down a deposit on an apartment and stuff. But
Mhm.
I have seen some really incredible young folks launch into the world. Um, I'm not a parent myself, but I've watched the children of close friends, and they're inspirational. Um, I'm really much more of a fan of them than I was years ago, because I see the cool stuff that they're doing, and I see the brilliance in them, and I see their gifts. And
Mm.
so maybe becoming a midlife woman, I'm not as much of a curmudgeon, a judgmental. I mean, I think coach training also helped me be less judgmental of a person as a whole.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think that it was a lot easier back in our time, to when we were coming of age, to get a job and get a place to live right off the bat. It takes a
Right.
little bit longer now, and a little bit more discipline and a little bit more planning.
Yeah. Dory, you can talk from the bonus mom point of view.
From the bonus mom point of
Yeah.
view.
Yeah. So have you imposed anything on your
I,
girls?
for myself, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Have you imposed anything from your era?
Why are you more resilient?
Right.
I think that for me, the patience level, I've had to really learn patience on resiliency
Mm,
and not being able, because I feel like we had to figure it all out ourselves.
yeah, we did.
And so not I've really had to work on not putting that down on being a bonus mom on that and I'm dating someone now who has a lot of kids and trying not to do the same thing too. Is He's got a 16-year-old daughter whom I'm very close with, but I have to like bite my tongue till it bleeds sometimes because I just want to just, just go, you know, pull yourself together. So I think that that's the hard thing for me is even today, being, a bonus mom and all of that is just having that patience and going, it's not the same. And these kids have been through COVID and have had
Yes.
like this social break. It's different. It is different. And it's harder sometimes, not all of them, not all young adults, but it's harder sometimes for them to pull themselves together, collect themselves, and to be able to move forward and move ahead. And, that's why, Michelle, what you're doing is so damn important because you can be that voice of reason when parents can't be,
Hmm.
to be able to help them to move forward and move in the right direction and become more
Yeah.
resilient.
Oh, I suppose you all want me to answer the question as well, right?
Yes, you don't
Yes,
get to
of
just ask
course.
the question.
I feel that it's so funny because I'm drumming into my bonus son. I'm just like, all right, you're earning, you need to start saving. You need to start making the little emergency fund. Not that he's very frivolous with his spending, but he needs to understand, like, when you get a paycheck, you need to start saving. And, I've kind of drummed that into him a little bit, and we've sorted out his account, and it's just kind of like, all right. And it was hard for me to relinquish the account because I want to see what's going and I want to see what he's saving, but I'm just like, no, he's an adult. He needs to be able to control it, and I don't need to see it. Why do I need to see it? Why do I need to micromanage his account and to tell him that he needs to save? He needs to do it by himself because, he used to send me the money. He's like, I'm going to send you this money and can you put it into my account? Because, he was a minor then. Now I'm like, he's 20. He should have access to this. He needs to control it. But part of me is just kind of like, oh no, I want to see what's in it. So yes, I could be the little propeller, not the big propeller, not the big drone, but I just want to make sure he's doing it right. But you have to bite your tongue and step back, and he's got to make his own decisions. And we just have to support it, and give, if he asks for the advice, we'll give it. If he doesn't, all right, son, if that's a decision you're going to make, that's the decision you're going to make. And he scraped up my car. And he did not, and he was afraid to tell me that he scraped up my car. And he goes, I got something to tell you. And I was just like, okay. He goes, I scratched up the car. And he goes, I'll pay for it. And in my head, I was like, nah, you don't have to bother. But I was just kind of like, no, he does have to pay for it because he caused it and he needs to understand he's going to pay for his damages. And so he already planned out. He's like, so I'm going to earn this amount of money and I'm going to give you this amount of money. And I said, you're going to have enough to buy food and stuff and pay your rent. Yes, I'm going to be fine. Okay, then. But my automatic decision was, ah, no, it's fine. I'll pay for it. No, he's going to pay for it. So you do, as a parent, have to just kind of like No, this is a learning process, and this is what they have to go through to understand these lessons and to learn from these lessons. And we can't save them all the time. I say save. We love them. We want to do everything for them and we want to cater to them, but we have to let them fly and earn their wings. And yes, they're going to drop, but we'll pick them up and we'll support them. But yeah, it's hard.
So don't be too quick to send in the rescue drone with the ATM card, with the bank card of yeah,
Exactly. Don't rescue them.
yeah.
It's funny because I just read a post about someone's son went to jail and the kid asked their dad for like $5,000 and dad was like, nope, not sending it to you, son. You have to figure it out. And that's a hard one, going to jail and trying to bail out your kid. Ooh, that's a hard one. But
Ugh, that's some tough love.
you made your bed.
Yeah.
You better lie in it.
All right, who's got quotes?
Whew.
Okay, Doree. Doree's got her hand up.
Okay.
I do because my technology is not very good today.
So Doree's
The
been a little bit
expert
quiet. I'm sorry.
I've been very quiet today because my internet is flaking in and out, and because we're unfiltered, we decided, what the hell, let's just roll with it. So here we go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So it wasn't intentional, but yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you in the middle of
The
your quote.
expert in anything was once a beginner by Helen Hayes.
I love that. Everybody starts somewhere.
All right. We cannot solve life's problems except by solving them. We must accept responsibility for a problem before we can solve it. And that is by M. Scott Peck.
Sweet.
Yes.
I love this one, Michelle. I feel like you kind of touched on this. You will recognize your own path when you come upon it because you will suddenly have all the energy and imagination you'll ever need. And that's by
Yes.
Jerry Gillies.
I like that.
All right. What are we talking about next time, Doree?
All right, let's see if I can get this really quick before you guys freeze on me again. This one is really, really near and dear to my heart. And Desiree, I'm so excited to be able to hear what you have to say around this. It's loss of a loved one. And, we've all have had the loss of a loved one some point in our lives. If you haven't, you will. And Desiree is such a wonderful, beautiful person who's helped me so much in my own experience with this. So I'm excited to hear what she has to say. So Desiree, looking forward to it.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Desiree taking the spotlight next
Let's
time.
talk about grief. Like,
Baby.
yeah, I think people are just going to be like, I'd like to skip that episode. But I invite you. Grief is a universal human experience. It's nothing to be ashamed about.
We all
We're going to talk about
experience
it. I think the biggest compliment I ever got after I did a presentation is, wow, you talked about grief without making me sad. I'm like, yes, it is a sad thing, but also we don't have to, let's talk about it from a logical, analytical perspective. Nothing to be ashamed about. So yeah, thank you so much for those kind words, Doree. That really means a lot to me. All right, so we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Until then, y'all stay unfiltered.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Life Coaches Unfiltered. If you love this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or follow us on social media. Got a question you've been afraid to ask? Send it our way at lifecoachesunfiltered@gmail.com. Until next time, keep growing, keep questioning, and stay unfiltered.